Hi, everybody. So I went live a little bit early tonight. Just a moment. I've got to get my tablet set up here so I can see what people are saying. Okay. So how is everybody this evening? Everybody. So I went live a little bit early tonight. Just a moment. Gotta turn my sound off so you don't have to hear it twice. Okay. Yeah, I always have to have a second computer because I can't see comments when when I'm sharing my screen. So I can't see anybody's comments. So, whoops, can't spell tonight either. So I have to have the other computer here to type a comment to you or to um, see what you're saying. Is everybody hearing me okay? So make sure you let me know. It's very hard for me to tell if you can hear me also. Oh, hi, Jackie. Hi. Oh, hi, Marianne. Hi, Deb. Oh, Patricia's here, I think. So is everybody hearing me okay? Let me know if you're hearing me okay. Hi, Denise. It's been very warm today. I haven't been out much. I've been working the last 2 days. I put a bunch of posts up in Sew Along with Jan of all the stuff I've been doing. You can hear me okay? Good. So everybody's hearing me all right? Um, so I've been doing a lot of working on the classes for September. So I did all the Kimberbell classes, and so I did the soiree. And did you see me in the little hat? It's very cute, the little witch's hat. And then I worked on the Kimberbell Club, and then so it was nice to have a couple of extra days off. I normally only get Sunday to work on things, and so it was nice to have Saturday because I could get a lot done this weekend. So it got me so that I wasn't so far behind. So it was nice of Tim to give me the day off. So how is everybody this weekend? Are you all doing things for Labor Day, or are you just all kind of hanging out at home like me? That's what we all should be doing, most likely. So hi, Marilyn. Oh, hi, Kathy and Arlen. Hi, Jane. So the sound's okay. Yeah, it's real hard for me to tell when I share my screen. I don't know. I use the microphone in my laptop when I do the screen sharing. And so I think it's a pretty good microphone. This is a good laptop. So nobody seems to complain. Hanging out at home. Yep, that's what I've been doing too, Joanne. It was kind of warm, so it was nice hanging out at home. You had no power again, Jackie? Oh my gosh. Oh, Lynn, you made it. Oh, cool. So I'm glad you're here. Pat, you staying home? Yeah, I think we probably should be staying home. I don't think that everybody is, though. So I don't think it's going to help the situation any. Here in Iowa City, the situation is a little on the bleak side. So I kind of hang out at home a lot, and I don't go anywhere in Iowa City other than work. So I I I'm I was hoping maybe things would be a little better, but I don't know that they are. Okay, so hi Judy. Judy made it. Lynn made it. Margaret made it. Hi. So actually, so I'll show you the little pictures. These are the pictures I put up on Sew Along with Jan if you haven't seen them. This is the 4 projects. I'll put these up on the screen. These are the 4 projects for the spooky soiree event. So it's that cute little witch's hat and a lace. It's lace, a lace coaster, this cute little utensil pouch, and one of the little sweet feet. So those are the 4 projects for spooky soiree. And here's me in the hat. I don't know if some of you may have seen it already, but here I am in the hat. I took a selfie. It was fun. That was a fun. It's on like a little headband thing. And then I started, after I got that done, I started working on, oh, I did these too. I did these yesterday morning. These are the little pouches, the pencil pouches for Kimberbell Club. And so then after I got all of those things done, I started working on, um, I started working on Boulevard, on Twilight Boulevard again, so I can get ready for the second one. So I don't have all the blocks to do, in such a short time. So some of those blocks take a little while. So you like the hat? I love the hat. It's so cute. And I have to say it was a little Jan and hot glue don't get along terribly well. So I did have a little bit of a problem getting that hat done. And after, but so I just actually stitched mine on. It worked pretty well just to take some big stitches and tie it. And that worked well for me. So the whole glue gun thing and I just don't get along too well. So anyway, the hat was fun. And you put that it's like glitter dot organza that they use on it. I mean, it was just a really fun. I had a really fun weekend because I've worked on all these darling little out things, and they're really lots of fun. So Kimberbell is very entertaining, and it gets your mind off all this other garbage that's going on in the world, and it's just very uplifting, and they're very whimsical, and they just make you smile, And so I've had the whole weekend just to sit here and smile at these fun little projects. So anyway, I did have a little trouble with that hat though. That the hat eluded me a little bit, but I've got a plan now, so that's why I always sew everything out in advance. Okay, so tonight what we're going to do is I've got to go find my picture again. We're going to make a bowl. And this is going to be done in the Lace software. So I am glue challenged. Lynn is telling everybody that I am glue challenged. I most certainly am. I don't have good luck with other glues either, except Fabric Fusion, which seems to work fine for me. So okay, so we're going to make this lace bowl. Now, it may look slightly familiar because for Explore Club a while back, I made everybody a doily design. And I thought, well, hey, I'd like to have a bowl to go with my doily. Now you'll notice that my pinks weren't quite the same because I couldn't remember what pink I used, and I just picked a pink. But this is the doily that I gave everybody, and it was a free design I gave everybody for Explore Club, and it is on the Sew Along with Jan site in the Dropbox. So if you want this doily, you can go get the doily also. And it's an 8-sided doily, but the bowl is 6-sided. So a second here, we'll go find the bowl again. So here's the bowl. So the bowl is a 6-sided bowl, but I used the same design so that I could make it look like my doily so I could have the two of them as a pair. So I thought it was very fun. Now this is done in the Lace Maker software. You may not all have Lace Maker. Lace Maker is a standalone software, so you don't have to have any other dime software other than Lace Maker if you don't want to. And it also works in conjunction with embroidery tool shed. So like, all the softwares are all kind of like in together now. So you can kind of go back and forth. And so when I'm in Perfect Embroidery Pro, I can actually use elements of Lace Maker without going just to Lace Maker. Lace Maker does not have all of the tools that Perfect Embroidery Pro does. So I'll show you that once I get started so you can kind of see what I mean. But I can go back and forth between them if I want to. I'm going to do this design mostly in Lace Maker so you can just see the Lace Maker program. We had the event, last month, and I know a bunch of people got it. And it is very fun. It's super easy to use. And I think the lace turns out beautifully. I mean, this was something I made this in like 20 minutes. I mean, it took me a lot longer to sew it out than it did to actually digitize it. So, and the doily was very easy as well. So I've really liked Lace Maker. It's super easy. I do kind of use it through PEP most of the time because I have some more tools, and I'll show you that when I get to the second or third step here, just so you can see how you can go back and forth. Okay, so this is what we're going to make. We're going to make, so basically there's just two pieces. We're going to make the base and we're going to make the side. So then you make 6 sides in one base, and you soak them all out. You know, you put them on that water soluble stuff, and then you soak them out, pin them down on a piece of styrofoam and let them dry, and then you sew them together. Okay, so it's pretty easy to make a bowl. All right. So, and on this morning on the group, I uploaded a file to Dropbox on Sessions on Software, and I called it Bubble Bowl, Bubble Bowl, because these are like bubbles. And so there's a file there. It has the patterns, so the actual patterns for the bowl. If you don't have Lace Maker and you just want to make the bowl, the patterns are in there. The templates that I'm going to be using this evening are in there, so you can trace them. And then also there's a picture of it. And then I did some little simple instructions on how to sew it. Okay, so those are all in on Sessions on Software, and it is called Bubble Bowl on Dropbox. So remember, to get to that Dropbox, you have to go to the group. So go to Sessions on Software. The very first post is an announcement. And in the announcement is the link to Dropbox. So I leave that there all the time, so you can just click on that link and go directly to Dropbox, so you can download whatever you want. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get our software open here. And I'm going to open up Embroidery Tool Shed. You know, they're all underneath that one canopy now. And in order to get to, so right now it defaults for me to Perfect Embroidery Pro, because that's usually what I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and click a new design. And let me make this a little bit bigger. See, oops, there's a new download evidently, but I'm not going to do it right now. So there must be an update that I didn't know about. So down here at the bottom, there's different ways to get to this is the way you get to all the different parts of the program. Okay, so you click on the little green shopping cart. That's your purchases, and anything that you have a yellow check mark in front of is what you have activated on your computer. So I can go down here and I'm looking for my lace maker. So here's my lace maker. Okay. So right now PEP is up on my screen. This is the Perfect Embroidery Pro software screen. I want to be in Lace Maker though for this class. So what I'm going to do is I found Lace Maker under my purchases. I'm going to click on these little polka dots on the right hand side here, and I'm going to make Lace Maker my default. So now, if you notice, now my screen has slightly changed. So it's a little different now since I'm actually in Lace Maker. So there are a few less tools in Lace Maker than there are in Perfect Embroidery Pro. And I may go back and forth a little bit between the two, because every now and then if I make a mistake, I need a tool in Perfect Embroidery Pro. But if you only have Lace Maker, you can certainly get this little design done with no problems. Okay. All right. So I've got my Lace Maker open. I opened up Embroidery Tool Shed. I went down to purchases, and then I found my Lace Maker and made it my default, because I have several other softwares also available, or that I have installed on my computer. So all right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to bring up my backdrop, because I need to trace those I gave you two templates, one for the base of the bowl and one for the side of the bowl. So I need to bring up a backdrop for me to trace around, because I'm not a very good drawer. So there is a backdrop tool in Lace Maker, and it's over here on the left hand side. It looks like kind of like a little computer screen. It's called backdrop tool. So I'm just going to click on that, and it's going to open up my like search box, and I'm going to go into my folder wherever Bubble Bowl. And here is, let's do the bottom first. So here's the bowl bottom. It's the hexagon shaped one. And it's just I think it was just a JPEG image. And I'm going to open that up, and it's going to come up on my screen. So now I have something that I can trace with. Okay. Now I did there's shapes that you can use for tracing in the software, or you can use a pen. Now, there is a hexagon shape in here, but for some reason it has rounded corners. So I didn't want that when I wanted it to be sharp corners like this because of sewing my bowl together. So I actually drew it. So we're going to choose the pen. So there are artwork tools in my lace maker. It's the same icon as in PEP. It looks sort of like a pen, a pencil and a circle and a square. There's a little arrow next to it. I'm going to click on that first, and I'm going to go choose the pen. Okay. Then I'm going to draw this. So I've got my little drawing tool on my cursor now. I'm just going to go to the top left corner, and I'm going to left click. I'm going to drag my mouse across to the next corner, and I'm going to left click. Then I'm going to drag down to this corner here, left click, drag again, left click, drag again, left click, drag my mouse and left click. And then I'm going to go up and I'm going to left click right on top of the other polka dot that I made, the original one. I'm going to left click, and then to finish, you have to right click. So I'm going to right click to finish my design. Oops, there we go. I think I got it. Now you probably can't see my line very well, and I'm not sure that it's there, so let's take a look. Yeah, it is. Okay. So we can move what I did after I drew my line. I actually went down. There's two icons on the left. The first one brings open the backdrop, and the bottom one turns it off. So I just turned it off. If I click the top one, it'll turn back on again. And the bottom one down here turns it off. So I need to get rid of it so I can see what I've done. Okay. Now, this is where sometimes I have to go into PEP to do a little bit of editing, because there's a couple of tools that are not in LaceMaker. So let's zoom in. I am going to grab the little zoom tool over here, and let's zoom in to where we started and stopped. I want to see how I did at this junction here. If I make it even bigger, I think you can see it. Okay, so if you look closely here, I have a gap right here. And that's not always good, because then things don't always look really nice on the corner. So what I will do at this point, since I have this gap here, I could redraw it and see if I could do better. If I only have LaceMaker, I may have to do that because I don't have a way that I can fix this. But since I have PEP, I am going to now show you how I can toggle over to the other software. And let's go up. I'm going to scroll up. I'm still on purchases down here. I'm going to go back to Perfect Embroidery Pro, click on the little dots and make that default. And now if you look at the top of my screen, I have lots of different icons because there's more things that I can do in this software. What I'm specifically looking for in this case is the little tool called Shape. This is where I can fix that gap. Now, I don't have this tool in LaceMaker, but I do have it in PEP. So if I only have LaceMaker, I would go back and redraw that and try to get that closer. But since I have this software, this other software, I am going to show you how I'm going to fix it. So I'm going to grab my shape tool. I want to, you can see I've got these little nodes. One has a green square and one has a red one. That's the start and the stop. I need them to be on top of each other, and obviously they're not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them by just dragging my cursor over both of them like that, and then they turn blue. Now I am going to right click, maybe. There we go, right click. And this little menu that comes up, there's a little button that says align. Align is a wonderful thing. So we're going to align, and I'm going to the one is kind of higher and to the left. So I think I'm going to do a line right, and then I'm going to do it again, right click, and align bottom. And it's going to line those up perfectly on each other. And then I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard. And now I have this beautiful corner instead of my gap that I had before. Okay, but I did use PEP. So I know a lot of you that are watching this do have PEP. So you can go back and forth between the different programs. You don't have to do any of this if you have PEP in LaceMaker, because the other thing I wanted to show you, so we got that fixed. If you look over on the right hand side, let me get my selection tool. If you look over here, on the right hand side, there's all these little bubbles over here. The first one, I happen to have Word Art and Stitches installed. I have Quilt Block, my block piecer installed. I have my fabric designer installed, and I have the vintage embroidery software installed, and I also have LaceMaker installed. So I could actually digitize this entire thing using PEP, but I have access to all of my tools from LaceMaker. So that's what is over here on the right. So if you have other programs other than PEP, you will find them all here, and I can use them. So like if I click on this little thing, it'll bring up all the designs in LaceMaker, which is really cool. If I click on the little arrow underneath, it'll bring up the frames, the grid and border. So all the tools that we see on the toolbars in LaceMaker show up over here in PEP, even though, so that I can do everything in the same software. I don't have to go to LaceMaker. Okay. But I know a bunch of you bought LaceMaker. In order to have these tools, though, you have to have purchased LaceMaker. And that's what puts them into PEP. So hopefully that kind of explains how the programs play together. Everything is available through PEP, which is the main software, on the right hand side. And then I don't have to go back and forth between all the different softwares anymore. I used to have to open up LaceMaker to do lace and the vintage to do vintage, but now I have access to all of them in PEP. So that was a nice thing that they added not too long ago. Okay, so I am happy now with I fixed that little corner. So I'm happy with that. So let's just go back to LaceMaker. So again, I'm going to go down to purchases. I'm going to scroll down until I get to my LaceMaker, and I'm going to click the little button or the little dots, and then make default. So then I'm back. So you can see now my icons all look different again. So now I'm back to LaceMaker. So that's when I go back and forth. If you don't have LaceMaker, if you don't have, isn't that cool that you can go back and forth? I like that. But if you don't have anything but LaceMaker, I would have drawn it again and just gotten it closer, and it would still close, but I would have tried again to see that I got it a little bit closer so that the corner would look nicer. Okay. I do a lot of drawing in LaceMaker if I'm only using it. With the other drawing tools, in fact, they have rectangles, circles, triangles, diamonds. So I use some of these tools because they're automatically closed in the corners. Okay. So when I have to draw, sometimes I have to go to PEP to fix something because my drawing's not the greatest. Okay. All right. So we've got this done. I'm going to go ahead and make this fit. So I'm going to zoom to fit. So you can see there's our hexagon. And it's all drawn. So now all I have to do is make it into lace. So let me show you how easy this is. I mean, this program is so simple, and I love lace, and I can make anything I want into lace now. Okay, so I'm just going to select it. I've got my selection tool. I'm just going to click on the hexagon and select it. Then at the top, we have on the border, or on the toolbar, we have all these different options. And one of them is the lace grid. So that's one thing I want is I want lace grid. But if you go over to the next one, it's lace grid and border. So I would like a satin border around my lace grid for the bottom. So I'm going to click that little icon at the top. Just going to left click on it, and there's my lace. Now, if that's the lace exactly the way I wanted it, I'm done. That was simple, wasn't it? Then you just go sew it out on your machine and it'll be lace. That's all there is to it. But I do want to do a couple little things. So let's do a couple things. So we have our basic grid here. I'm going to go to the properties, just like in PEP. I'm going to go to the properties. The fill type is grid, and that's what we want. Grid means lace in PEP land, in dime land. That's the name they use for lace, is grid. There are different types of patterns. So you can do a single pattern. So let's see what that looks like. Single. Oh, that's just the straight lines. So that's the way I used to always do lace, with just straight grid. You can do a double, and that makes it kind of like there's sort of like a little, it's hard to describe, but there's like a little space, and it's kind of a wiggly grid. That's kind of cool. And there's also a pattern triple. And I'm just clicking the apply button after each of these so you can see. Now this one looks like almost like little circles. So that's kind of a neat fill as well. I wanted my bowl to match my doily. So my doily, I had used the double. So I'm going to go back to double because I wanted it to match, be the same fill as my doily. So I'm going to click on double and click apply. I want the stitch length. You usually want your stitch length to be pretty short for lace. Okay. Now the density here is 4, so it's more open. For a bowl, it needs to be maybe just a little bit stiffer, have a little more density to it. So I'm going to bring this density down. I kind of played around with it, and I thought 2.5 looked pretty good. So I'm going to take my density to 2.5 and click apply. So it's going to add more stitches in there. So my fill or my grid is going to be a little more dense. Okay. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom. So we've kind of got the grid the way we want it, but now we need to work on this outline also. So I need to look at that outline, and right now I can't see it. So just a second, I'm gonna pull this up just a little bit. Remember there's tabs at the bottom, and I was on purchases, so we knew what software we had. But I want to look at the sequence of what's sewing. So I'm going to click on the first tab, which is the sequence view. And I can see that I have a complex fill, which is what a grid is, and I have a steel stitch, and that's what the outline is, the satin stitch. So I am going to choose the steel, and I need to change some properties of that. So now that's what's up here in the properties box, is what my outline is. And I'm going to change the width. I wanted it a little wider because that 2.5 was a little narrow. So I made it 3 millimeters. I want to inset it just a little bit. So in other words, the satin stitch is going to be inset a little bit further than it's going to sew on the outside. So I'm going to make it 60%. And then I want the corner type to be square because I don't want them to be, if you make it extended, it may make them stick out and then it may not work well with my bowl size. So I want them to be square. And then I'm going to click apply. So I've just slightly increased the width of my satin stitch, and I've inset it just a little bit so that it a little bit more is sewing on the grid than is off the grid. Okay, so I think that looks like a very nice bottom, but for the bowl, but it's a little plain. So how about we add something pretty to it? This software has tons of cool stuff built right in. I mean, and these are all freestanding. So like all of the designs that are in this software can be just stitched out on water soluble stabilizer, and they're completely freestanding. Okay. So to access those, I'm going to keep my design selected. I'm going to go up to Lace Designs, which is the first icon. It looks like a little book with kind of a red circle on it. I'm going to click on that, and then the screen's going to open. And there's all these different designs. So like this is the first one. We're actually going to choose one out of here, but I'll just kind of show them to you. This is the bubble designs, classic lace designs. These are all included with the software. These are all freestanding. All you have to do is just bring them out and sew them. You don't have to do anything to them at all. Here's some danglers. So these are dangling freestanding lace. I'm going to skip down to fringe. So if you want to make fringe on your lace, there's a fringe design. This one's called Little Black Tea. So there's all these really cute little designs that you could put on a t-shirt. Paisleys, potpourri. Potpourri had a lot of really cute things. It had some snowflakes and some flowers, all kinds of different things in it. Sea has some like shells and the stars and all that kind of stuff, anchors, and then there's some border elements and timeless borders, timeless necklines, so you can put them around on blouses and stuff. And then there's some examples, and this one had like this. I think she showed this in the class. This lace envelope is in there. So there's a lace envelope. That's really pretty. And it's just a free design that comes with it. So it's right here. The other thing that I thought was really cool though, is if you own some other lace designs that Dime has, like maybe their lace charms, or there's also one that has flowers that Embroidery Garden did for them, or they also work with Kimberbell, and Kimberbell has one. There's another area here called Designer Collections, and if you click on the plus sign here, I have some embroidery, the Embroidery Garden flowers. So if I click on the plus sign there and another time, then I could bring in, here's all the different flowers that Embroidery Garden. So you can install those designs right into the software so you can access them through the software and use them in conjunction with other things. So I thought that was really cool. Here's the Kimberbell ones, and it's called Lace Studio. I know we have that at the store. So here's some of the Christmas ones. They had fall, they had Halloween, they had spring. So these are all designs that I bought that are just freestanding lace designs that you can integrate into the software to pull right into what you're working with. So it is kind of neat. I just thought that was really cool they did that. I think I ordered the charms and I haven't gotten it yet, so I will put that in here as well. But those are all accessed through Designer Collections. So what we're going to use for our bowl is a bubble design. And that's what I had used originally. And this is for the bottom. So I used Bubble 10G, and I think it was at the bottom here. Yeah, so it's Bubble 10G. I'm just going to click on that and click OK. This is all done. I don't have to do anything to this. It's done. Okay. Size as desired. So I thought it looked a little small. Now, the one thing that's cool about these designs that are in the software is that they can be sized. As a general rule, lace is not very sizable. So don't try to resize lace. It just doesn't work well. Sometimes you can, but in this program, everything that's in here is resizable. You can resize it pretty well, and it sews up very well. So what I did is I pulled this out. I thought this center needed to be just a little bit bigger. So I pulled it out a little bit from the corner. So that means it's coming out in aspect ratio. And I just wanted it to fill the base just a little bit more. And then I want to center everything on my design space so that I know I have it centered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my sequence view and select my first color, which is my base, the grid and the satin stitch. I'm going to right click on my ruler bar and tell it to center origin. So that way I know it's centered in my workspace. Okay. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the bubbles that I brought in. I'm going to select the second color. I'm going to right click on that. I'm sorry, right click on the ruler bar and center origin. So that way I know everything is centered on each other in my workspace. Okay. I got that done. Okay, change the color number 1 to white. Now I don't really want a blue bowl. I'd like it to be white. So what I'm going to do that, just to change the color, I go down to the bottom, and we've done this before. We've changed colors. I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to left click on the number 1 box. And I want it to be white. Now I know in my Floriani colors, white is 800. So I'm just going to type the number 800 in so I can find it fast. And then I'm going to click OK. So that changed everything under color number 1 to white. But I would like my steel stitch to be pink. So I'm just going to use the pink that's already there, which is fine, just to give me a visualization of what it is. So I'm going to go underneath in my sequence view my color number 1. I'm going to just select the steel stitch, which is around the outside edge. And then I'm going to right click on number 2, which will then change that to pink. Okay, so it's kind of a pinkish red color. And then I would also like the bubble design to be pink. So I'm going to go back to my sequence view and choose that grouping. It came in as a group. And I'm going to go right click on the number 2 color box again. And turn that to pink. So now everything is the color I want it to be. And it will sew out as white, and then the pinks will sew together. Okay. Now I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks pretty good. I like the looks at the bottom, and I'm ready to save it. So I'm just going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to call it the bowl bottom. Oops, I'm not sure if I can spell bottom. Let's try that again. Now I always want to save this as a C2S. That's my working file, so I can go back and work on it if I need to later. I'm going to save it on my desktop, and I'm going to save it first as a C2S. So I'm just going to click Save. Then I'm going to go back because I need to have it to be a machine file to go into my sewing machine. So I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to change the Save As type this time to PES version 9. It can be the same name, bowl bottom. I'm going to click Save. Now that is ready to be sewn. You can take that PES file to your machine and sew it on 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer. I either use Wet and Gone, which is the Floriani, or I use the the sew and wash is what Dime calls it. So one of those, and I use 2 layers, and the bowl bottom fits in a 4x4 hoop. And I put that in the little sewing instructions for you. Okay. All right. So now we've got the bottom done. Let's do the side. So it was pretty easy to do that. So let's try the side. So what I'm going to do, I want a new piece of paper to work with. So I'm going to go up at the top here, and I'm going to click New. And you can see at the bottom here, the bottom part of our bowl is still open, so that we can have more than one item open at a time, which is nice. I'm going to go back to the backdrop tool. Okay. And this time I'm going to get the icon for the template bowl side. So I want the side. So I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to open that one on my screen. Now I'm going to trace around this, but this one has a curve on it. And remember on the side, everything was straight. So I just left clicked at each point where I wanted the sides to be. Well, this one's going to be a little different because we also need to get a nice curve. So we're going to do something different with the tracing. I'm going to go up and get my pen tool again. So I'm going to click on the little arrow up here and get my pen. Now this one is easier if you start on a corner that's straight. So I found that it's easier if I started like on the right hand or the left hand side and did the bottom first. That just worked easier for me. So I'm going to click on the right hand side. I'm just going to left click on that corner. I'm going to go down. I want it to be straight. So I'm going to go find my bottom right hand corner here and left click, go across the bottom and left click and up the left side and left click. But now I want this top to be beautifully rounded. And to get that, I'm going to, I've still got my tool. I'm going to hold down my control key at this point. And then I'm going to get a nice curve by going around the top portion of this whole side. So I'm just clicking around. I'm left clicking, but I have my control key held down this time to give me nice curves. Okay. I'm going to click here, but when I get back to the corner, I'm going to release my control key because I don't want this corner to be round. I want it to be squared. So I'm going to go ahead and try to line it up, left click, and then right click to finish. So we'll look at it. I'm going to take the backdrop off. So if I click the bottom icon on the left here, it'll turn it off. Well, it looks like I did pretty well. It's a little bit, there's a few little things maybe I'd want to fix. If I did not have PEP, it is not bad. It looks pretty good, but there are a couple things that I would like to fix. So I'm going to show you again. I can go down to purchases. I can scroll back up because a lot of you have both of these softwares. I can scroll back up, go to Perfect Embroidery Pro, click on the little dots and make that my default. Okay. Then I can go get my shape tool so I can do some editing. So I would like to do a little editing here. This little rounded area needs to be kind of pulled up a little bit. And so does this one. And see, I don't have all these tools in Lace Maker. Looks pretty good. But now I want to look at that junction point again. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see, grab my zoom tool over here. And we're going to zoom in really big. And that looks pretty good. I think I did pretty well on this one. See, I got that one nicely lined up. So it looks pretty good. So I don't know that I need to do anything with that one. So I'm going to go ahead and to fit, look at my curve. I think I'm actually pretty happy with that. That looks pretty nice. So we're just going to go back to Lace Maker. So I'm going to go back down here again to purchases. I'm going to slide down to Lace Maker. And again, we could do the rest of this in PEP, but I wanted you to see what the Lace Maker program looked like. So make default, and then I'm going to go back to Lace Maker. So that's kind of how I use a lot of these extra programs from Dime. Is I kind of go back and forth, or I just do most of it now since they have that ability to use them in PEP, so I don't have to go back and forth anymore. Okay. All right. So this looks good. I like the looks of this. Make sure I haven't missed anything on my notes. Okay. So we need to select our bowl side now. So I'm going to go get my selection tool and click on the bowl side. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the bottom. Okay, we're going to make this into lace. So you're going to select it first. I'm going to go up to the toolbar up here. And I think, let me check to make sure. Yes, you can also right click, convert to, and it's going to be I don't think it has the grid in here. It would actually be a complex fill. But I like the Lace Maker program because it has the little icons right here, and all I have to do is click it and it puts it right in for me instead of having to do the right click thing. So I just clicked up there on the little thing. I wanted the border and the grid. So let's go ahead and look at the fill first. So we're looking at the fill. I am going to go down to the bottom and switch back to my sequence view so I can see the items that I have here. So we're on the fill part. I'm on the grid. I wanted it to be double. That's what the other one was. I'm going to look at my stitch length of 2, and I want my density to be 2.5. So let's just type in 2.5 and click apply. So that changed my density, so it's a little denser now. Now I'm going to go down to my sequence view and select the steel section. I want to change a couple settings there. So now in my properties box, the steel information is there, or the satin stitch. So I would like my width to be 3. That's what we made the other one. So let's do the width at 3. I want the inset to be 60%. And I would like the corner type to be square. And I'm going to click apply. There we go. So it made everything just a little wider and it inset it just a little bit. So now we need a lace design again. I found a really pretty lace design that matched the bottom. It was in that bubble area. So I'm going to click my lace designs icon up here again. And I'm going to stay in the bubbles because that's what I wanted to use. And it was bubble -10. And it was this one here. It's like a double bubble with little things that's kind of like hang off the bottom. And I thought that was kind of pretty. I'm going to grab that one and I'm going to click OK. Oh, well, that's kind of big. So obviously we're going to need to size this a little bit. So I'm just going to grab the corner and pull it in until I'm happy with the size. And I think that's better. So it's still a little big, so we'll have to bring it in a little more. But see, I am able to resize these and they will sew out beautifully. Because lace is something that I just have never resized. Now I think that's better. That looks pretty good. I think I like that size. And we need to get everything aligned again. So let's go down here first and select color number 1, which is this whole side and the outline. I'm going to make sure that I have it. I think this one is aligned okay. And I'm going to just center origin just to make sure everything's centered. And then I'm going to select my bubbles that I just put in. And those, I kind of like to use the selection boxes. The 2 in the center here are the center of the design. So what I usually do is I like to center those boxes on the center origin line, which is this 0 line right here, so that I know that they're evenly spaced left and right. So I'm just going to use my little bump keys on my computer and bump it over so that it's over on that line. And I think that looks pretty good. I think the size is good. I don't want it to completely go out to the edge of the bowl, but I think that looks pretty good. And then let's do the same thing we did before. We're going to change the colors. So I'm going to, yes, you can, Denise. You can, yeah. So if I wanted to resize this bowl shape, yes, I can. I can resize that at this time. The lace in here can be resized and it sews out well, and that's unusual. Like if you buy a lace design, like if you buy the lace Kimberbell designs and try to resize them, something will happen to the grid. Generally something will not sew, something will be lost, a portion of it'll drop out. So resizing lace is not recommended, but you can in here. So anything you make it yourself in here, you can resize it basically any size you want. So there is a little bit of a limit, but it's pretty forgiving. Okay. So I'm going to select my color number 1. I'm going to go down to the color box and let's do the same thing we did before. I'm going to change the color. I left clicked on color box number 1. I want it to be white. So I'm going to type in 800 because I've got Floriani in here and click OK. So then my first color now is white, but I would like the satin stitch to be pink. So I need to just choose the steel, which is the satin stitch. And then I'm going to go down and right click on the pink box, which is number 2, which changes the color. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with the bubble design in the center. I'm just going to select that grouping and I'm going to go right click on number 2, which makes it pink as well. So there is the side of the bowl. How easy was that? So now we're ready to save it. File, save as. I'm going to save this as bowl side. Oops, stuff I can't spell. There we go. Again, as a C2S, so if I need to go back and work with it, I'm going to click save. I put it on my desktop. Then I'm just going to go back to File, Save As. I'm going to change the type, the Save As type this time to PES version 9. Same name, and then click Save. And now I have both of my sections for my bowl. I will sew out 6 sides and 1 base. Okay, that is a simple way to make lace. You can find some templates online, like this one I had from an old program that I had bought years ago for making lace in PE design. But I've also Googled and found lace bowl templates or lace doily templates. So the template that I used to make the doily that I gave you before was one that I Googled and found. So the bowl is one that I had. So I liked the 6-sided bowl. I also have a 5-sided bowl that's really pretty. And so there's a lot of different sides. You can do a 4-sided bowl. So it depends on what kind of look you want. But you are ready to sew. At this point, you can take your designs and you can sew your bowl out. See if I can get my bowl to open up for me. There we go. So there's the bowl that I sewed out. I sewed that out on my 10 needle actually. And I do use a matching embroidery thread in the bobbin. When you're doing lace, you really want to do your embroidery thread in the bobbin because sometimes the lace will not be quite dense enough with bobbin thread. Even for the white, I even put, for this one, I even put white embroidery thread in the bobbin. Sometimes I use white bobbin thread when I'm making lace. I think I did for the doily, but it was laying flat and this needed to stand up. So I know I used white embroidery thread and then the pink embroidery thread when I did it. So, and the 2 layers of the water soluble to sew it. And then I have some like styrofoam sheets that are like 1 inch thick and they're about 12 by 18 or something like that, that I use to pin. So I'll wash the stabilizer out, kind of dab it with a tea towel, and then I pin these down to shape them and shape them out on my styrofoam and let them dry. And then I sew around the base first. I sew all the way around the base first, all the sides, and then I sew the sides one by one. So I put all the sides on the base first because then it'll lay kind of flat for me. And then I start bringing the sides up and do them. And I just do a small zigzag stitch. That seems to work. I use the matching embroidery or the embroidery thread in the needle and in the bobbin. So, okay. Now this bowl is up on Sessions on Software. So if you want to just sew it, if you don't have the software, but if you want to try it, the template is up there also, so you can try it yourself. And then you can digitize it yourself. The lace doily that matches it is on Sew Along with Jan, and that one I can't remember what it was called though. I think I just said lace doily, so it's on the other group, so you can get that, and then you'd have the matching pair. So And some of you may already have the doily already too. So, okay, are there any questions? That is wasn't that a simple project? I mean, and that took us about, I explained some other things, but it took me just a few minutes to do that. And it was so much fun. I remember the first time I opened this up and made that doily, I think I had the doily done in 5 minutes. It just took no time at all, and all I had to do was click the button, and it was lace. The software's great. So I love lace, and there's lots of things you can do with it. So, any other questions? So I hope everybody has a nice Labor Day weekend, kind of hanging out at home and relaxing and stuff. And I'm gonna I've started the second Twilight Boulevard, so I'm gonna work on Twilight Boulevard again tonight for a while. So okay, I don't think there's any questions. It's quiet tonight. Okay, so do you have the software at the store? Yes, I do, Marianne. The software is normally $4.99, but it's $3.99. We usually sell it for $3.99. And I will do some other stuff with it just because I like lace and I know I'll use it, occasionally and show you different things in it because it's just so cool. I mean, it's easy, and I just thought my bowl turned out really nice. I was very happy with it when I got it done. So yes, I do have the software at the store. And I got some at the event. I ordered those some of those they have some lessons for the lace software too. And I don't know if I can order them for you, but they do have them on their website. And they have some, just like they do for PEP, they have like lessons, and I got those for the lace software because I wanted to try some of the new things that I hadn't tried yet. So okay. So if you don't have any other questions, that's awesome. Thanks everybody for spending your holiday weekend with me. A lace table runner, yes, you can, Lynn. You may have to do it in sections and sew it together. It depends on how long you want to make it. And you could just use the lace grid, and you can make panels, and you can sew it together. Yes. Yep. Anything you want to make. So if you have an idea and you need to, I think you could just do it in panels. I would do it in panels. So anyway, these are really fun, and I love lace, and it's so easy with this. I mean, when I did the lace originally in PE design, you had to do a lot of drawing. So I learned to draw it manually. So was going to show you that too, but I thought this is so easy, it's worth the extra money to do it. And then in PE design, I learned another way to do it a little bit more automated, but not near as automated as this. I mean, this is like literally click, 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 and you got lace. I mean, it's so easy. Okay. All right. So I will be seeing you. So next week we'll be starting Twilight Boulevard. I also put up a couple of posts. I found a thread list for Twilight Boulevard for the Floriani, and then I told you what colors I use because people have been asking me about threads. And also, let's see, what else did I put up today? Pictures of the soiree. We talked about that earlier, and the Kimberbell Club. And so if you haven't signed up, sign up because the projects are so cute and so much fun. So okay. So I'll see you next week. It'll be Halloween time in Jan's house. It's been Halloween for the last month almost. So we'll start Twilight Boulevard next week. So I'll see you later. Thank you so much for joining me.